Hey guys, welcome back to another impressions video, and today I want to talk about another 2013 release, and that game is Tearaway for the PlayStation Vita. This is a 3D platformer developed by Media Molecule, the creators of the Little Big Planet series, and published by Sony. And unfortunately, I get the feeling that this game is gonna go under the radar for a lot of people, and it's unfortunate because it's a great game. And I was able to cram this, beat this game rather quickly because it may or may not make my top 10 list of 2013. So stay tuned for that. That video is coming up pretty soon. So Tearaway essentially is a 3D platformer with a very, very artsy presentation, courtesy of Media Molecule. They already done a great job of creating the Little Big Planet franchise. And the feeling from that from those games is that they were very like art oriented games, and Tearaway is no exception to that rule. This game, essentially everything looks like it's being made out of paper, and in fact throughout the game you are encouraged, or rather you have to craft some shapes and figures using paper, and it's really fun. Now, the one thing that sets Tearaway apart from other 3D platformers is that this game makes use of the PlayStation Vita features, such as the rear touchpad, the touchscreen, the gyro sensor, and other features. And I do have to say that I was a little bit skeptical before the game got released, because my experience with games that used those features on the Vita, it's not very good. And the best example that I can think of is Little Deviants, which is a launch release game that essentially is a mini game compilation that was supposed to make use of all the Vita features, such as the touchpad and the gyroscope and all that. And that game was not very fun, and it felt a little bit gimmicky. But with Tearaway, all those features, they work surprisingly well. It's very creative, very well designed, and if you combine that with the incredible presentation that this game has, the artsy presentation makes the game for a very, very enjoyable experience. Short but sweet, and I'm saying short because you can beat this game in around 6 hours or even less if you really rush through the game. Now, the story is very simple. You basically play as the messenger, and the messenger is this little guy right here, which you can customize him with different eyes or mouth. You can draw whatever you want. You can buy I guess costumes or accessories for his clothing, if you will, throughout the game. And essentially you play as the messenger, and you have to deliver a message to yourself. And the game makes use of the PlayStation Vita front face camera. So throughout the game you're gonna see the sun, and the sun has a hole in it, and where the hole goes, that's where your face goes. And the front face camera of the Vita has a real-time feature which shows your face as you're playing the game. So that's the main job of the messenger. You have to reach, I guess, yourself. And the gameplay is very unique because you control the messenger using the thumbsticks, but in order to help solve puzzles, or in order to do some of the platforming, you also have to take control of you, like as in yourself, watching the little messenger from above. And you have to use the rear touchpad to either help him bounce through platforms, or use the touchscreen to defeat enemies, to touch enemies and knock them off the ground, and stuff like that. So in a way you control two people at the same time, and I found that to be a very pretty sort of unique gameplay feature. Graphically the game looks beautiful, and like I said, the world has this paper feel to it that only Media Molecule, they're the masters of that presentation. The soundtrack in this game is also really, really good, and the platforming segments, like I said, they make use of all the Vita special features, and they work remarkably well. Another thing that was very satisfying in this game is the combat system. I was actually hoping or actually craving for more combat when the game, because as you reach the end of the game, the combat stops and the game takes a little bit of a heavier emphasis on platforming only. And I really enjoy the combat. You basically fight, I think they're called the scraps, and there are these little paper I guess cubes that follow you around, and each type of scrap, they have a different technique on how you can defeat them. And as you progress through the game, you learn new skills, and you have to use those skills to defeat the different types of enemies that you encounter throughout the game. And it's really satisfying because everything builds up, and it's just fun once you learn all the skills. It's really fun to somewhat be creative in the way that you can knock the enemies or kill the enemies in a very effective way. So and I think the only negative thing that we can say about the game is that it's a little bit short, and other than that, I think the game works remarkably well. It performs very well. There are some drops in frame rate here and there, but nothing too major. And another thing that the game does really well, if you guys are into photography, this game, if you're into photography, let me just say that this game is made for you, because throughout the game you have your own camera and you have to take pictures for certain missions, because throughout the game you meet a lot of NPCs that they request for you to either kill some enemies, or you have to run some errands for them, and some of them involve taking pictures. So very early into the game you get your camera, and you can buy all different kinds of filters, and you can add special effects, like sepia, black and white. You can buy new lenses for it, and you can take some pretty damn impressive pictures, combining the beauty of the sceneries and the environment with the different effects that you get by switching the filters and lenses and whatnot. So I was actually looking at some of the pictures that people took online playing this game, and they were simply gorgeous. So if you're into photography, this is like a really fun game to explore and to play around with. And I'm really glad I beat this game. It has a very high chance of making it into my top 10 list because it's a fantastic game. If you guys own a PlayStation Vita, I highly recommend this game. It's a very, very fun 3D platformer, very unique. And here's hoping that some way we see a sequel for this game, because I really had a lot of fun playing Tearaway for the PlayStation Vita. No online components or anything, and if you're into trophy hunting, the game has some pretty easy trophies. I think I'm gonna aim for the platinum game trophy, because all you have to do in this game is there are a lot of collectibles in the game. So each level has its own set of collectibles that I think once you collect every single collectible, that's pretty much it. You get the platinum trophy, and that's a pretty good excuse to revisit these levels. I do have to say that my enjoyment of the game was a little bit affected by how I rushed through the game, because I really wanted to make sure I finished this game before I made my top 10 video. If I were to go back and replay this game, I would definitely take my time, look at the environments, just be able to enjoy that artistic scenery that Media Molecule presented in this game. So Tearaway, a fantastic 3D platformer. If you have a PlayStation Vita, in my opinion, is a must-have. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you all later.